question. Front line of the apocalypse. Okay, we are now streaming. Yay. All righty. Quick intro and then we'll get on with it. Pure Soulology style fashion, we messed up the music. All right.
Conscious colored energies hailing from the other side, alternating currencies, healing frequencies alive, pleasing demons lost and found, pains of angels, thorns are crowns, light vessels, white, black, red, yellow, brown. Self-inflicted burden spark, healing freakish tendencies, found the marks coded neath these goddamn dependencies. A sip and swallow just the same, yin-yang, vial of consistency. Come on baby, play the game, pop the vein, spirit of serenity. Blessed by fears, cell epiphany, fatal dreams found to lose, earth faith in an anomaly. Dirt shines diamonds blind, every card ace is one kind. Journey to divinity, shedding skins, conditioned sin, erasing false realities, and journey of extremities. Chaos in the harmonies, finite to infinities, postulated possibilities. Freedom is fearless and it's free. Spaceless times and timeless spaces, found the light, fought the dark, play both parts. Animosity beat the hell of life for me. Lift the screen, change the script, triple beam, trinity, blue flip. Blueprint, sacred, geometric, ball bag of tricks, enough to make you sick, feel the poor, feed the rich. But now my friends, we got this bitch. Siren sea of soup, surrender cannon race, steer the switch, tap your heels, north, it's standing room only, it's the holiest place. Take the mask off, see the world's face, surrender to embrace, search without a trace. All be gone except this silent, not empty space. Mind's heart that I will call soul. Purity, tears, so many lives, so many years. Perfection's reflection, fallen fears. Hear the howling eyes of my ears. Last stand of deception, universal correction, past the peace. Smoking angels, dust kiss the sky, crease the magical. New world with no blossoming overflow. Deuces times 4, double down. Walking hallowed ground, how your perfect pitch. Shake your freedom, twitch the mama's twitch. Blue blood star shine, epiphany wine, time to get your soul shining. Paid the prices, many lives through the years. Get your soul shining.
Okay, let's get this crazy guy off of here. All right, time for a little bit of Dr. Joe. Let me pull him up on the screen. See how he's doing today. Unmute. Dr. Joe is in the house.
How are you, old fruit?
We're getting ripe, I think. I had a third eye thing explode on my head. I don't know what that is.
Well, it's funny you should say that because my head and my face is peeling as the rest of my body is. I'm sort of coming out of a skin, I think. What's
Right.
going on, Todd? Tell me what's going on in your world.
You tell me what's going on.
Bloody hell.
I actually feel pretty refreshed for the first time in a few days. I mean, you know, nothing traumatic, nothing bad at all has been going on. Just a lot's been going on. How about you?
Well, what a wild ride. That's all I can say. I feel like I've been on Culloden Moor for the last week.
What is that? Oh, Culloden.
Culloden Moor. Yeah, Culloden. You know all about Culloden.
Oh, you've been in the battlefield of Culloden.
Oh, Jamie, I have, yeah.
Aye.
With all those fighting all those Sassenachs, you know.
I fight an Asenac every day.
Oh, absolutely.
An Ossinac.
Bonnie Prince Charlie. He wasn't so bonny, was he, Prince Charlie? But there you go. So what's been going on? It's been absolutely hilarious on the one hand and terrifying on the other. Sort of being in the middle of it. It's like watching the greatest show on earth. That's what my life is like. It's very bizarre, mate. I've had days of extreme bliss, extreme peace of mind, and then other days I've had, you know, really, really low, almost like depressed states. But there's a part of me, this part that watches, is just watching these polarities all the time, you know. And last night I had the strangest dream that I've had for a long, long time. And in this dream, as clear as anything, I got the message that the tide was coming. The tide was coming, you know. And what happened was I took my wife down to where the shore is, you know, the seashore. And I looked out to the right and it was as flat as a mill pond. And I can remember saying in the dream, what the effing hell's all this about? Am I conning myself here or am I being conned? And then I got the message, turn to the left, Joe. And I looked to the left and there was this massive great golden sun with two black dragons on either side of it. And behind it was this great big wave that was coming and building. It was bloody fantastic.
When did this happen?
This was last night in the dream last night, yeah.
Holy.
And honestly, I remember thinking, you know, when you're in the dream and you're awake and conscious in the dream, so you're almost like watching you. And I remember saying to Joe in the dream, told you, son, told you it was coming. The event is coming. Now, I'm not one for believing all this stuff, you know. I like to wait till see if it happens first, you know.
Yeah.
But this great big wave came over and basically engulfed anybody. I got hold of my wife. We turned around and it swept right across us. And then I woke up. You know, when you wake up and you want to go back in to see what the end is. Well, that's what happened, you know. And I've had things like this before. I've had sort of pictures of a bright light in the distance just building and coming towards us like in a great big wave, you know. So, Todd, what does it mean? I've got no idea what it means, mate. I mean, I think, you know, it is the great shift. There is no doubt that there's a great shift going on globally and everybody on the planet is being sort of affected by it in one way or another. You know, where I live and where I work, it seems to be becoming more and more crazy every single day, you know. And I know now that my job is to almost like pluck people and to say, look, just keep your feet on the ground, breathe this way, carry on, you'll be okay. So I've got this feeling of I'm sort of plucking people out of this murky bit and saying, kick them up the bottom and say, go on, you'll be all right now. Breathe like this, keep a positive little chuckle in your heart and see what happens next, you know. So other than that, it's just pretty normal for me, really.
Yeah, your dream was much better than mine. I just had a quick nap after the morning chores on the farm.
Yeah. John boy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, these animals, they get up early, man. You were in my dream.
Oh, God.
I was having some lucid dreams, and I was at, I guess, a relative's house. I was in a bedroom like you are right now, like something like that.
Yeah.
I had to do a show with Dr. Joe. And as usual, I was running late. And Morgan came in and said, you know, and then my aunt came in, who I haven't thought about in years. And then I called you, but you appeared in the room. I said, we're going to be a little bit late. You're like, okay, no problem. And then my aunt came in and said her friend wanted to borrow my car. And I said, didn't have any power steering. And that was the end of the dream. So I don't know what that means. There's something coming. I don't know.
I've got, you know, I used to wake up, you know, when I started all this a long time ago, I used to wake up and record my dreams. I'd have a book by the side of my bed, you know, and people would say, this means this and this means that, you know, and I've never found anybody who's given any realistic interpretation, you know, and to me, I don't even do that anymore. I just think that was a good, interesting dream, you know. And sometimes I have real nightmares, which are horrible, filled with demons, filled with gore, filled with blood. And I wake up, you know, it's like going to a thriller. You know, it's like being next door to Michael Jackson, you know, in Thriller, you know, and I can never tell. It was like when I used to go on the drink. My intention was always, right, this time I'm going to behave myself. I'm just going to get to the point where I feel chilled and relaxed and a bit happy, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And you know what, Todd? Soon as I took that first drink, mate, you know the score, took the first drink, right, and then the mood shift would come in then. You know, and either it was I'd be collapsed in the corner in no time, or I'd be out causing mayhem somewhere else. I could never determine what was going to happen next. And that's just like where my life is now. Every time I try and plan outside the next moment, it goes in a different direction, you know.
Yeah. It makes you much more conscious, if you're smart, of what you say and what you say you're going to do. And on the subject of the dreams, I never ran into anyone that could explain anything to me, except when I met Morgan. She said, well, just pull the energy of the dream up, pull up the main parts of the dream, like the wave and the two dragons or whatever, and just talk to it. So that helped me with that. But that's true with anything now. We're all starting to learn that we can speak to the energy of anything and not be so caught up in the day-to-day muck. It's really not been mucky. I don't think it's been mucky. It has been. People are talking about, you know, something imminent's coming on. The 9/11 was, you know, 9/9 came. 9/11 seemed to be a really big day. Today's a big day, 9/13 on a Friday. This is the last week, which is and I'm going to get the word wrong. Palindrome. The last palindrome week in the entire century. The entire century, and here it is only the 19th year. So think about that. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know what it is, go take a look at the word palindrome. I think somebody's got it going around on Facebook. It explains it over a period of about 8 or 9, 10 days. All the numbers of the dates are one way, the same are they the other way. It's the same either way you go. So it's like a pure 0 point expression.
Yeah, it's really weird in that I seem to be, on the one hand, doubted everything, you know, because that's what I used to. I used to have all these visions and thoughts that come in, you know, and then I'd really doubt it all and think I was losing my mind. And then I've got another thing to say, but Joe, all these symbols that are coming to you are confirming what you're picking up, you know what I mean? So I'm still betwixt and between. My thing is that I think it's the balance point that's important. It's maintaining a balance by letting go. That's what I'm trying to help people understand is, if you try and get your head involved in this to try and analyze it in any way, it will take you away and you'll be swept away by it, you know. And I can sort of sense now when I'm being sort of dragged away just to have a little nibble of, I wonder what that means, you know. Curiosity killed the cat, you know. So I'm trying to stay in this sort of central line now, you know, and remain with my feet on the ground, my heart open, and just breathing in a sort of gentle and flowing sort of a way. That seems to be my measure now. And it's almost like Joe, the body and the skin suit that is Joe, is acting. And then there's this other part of me that's behind thinking, this is very interesting, all this, you know. And something, I listened to you say something the other night, and I'm the same, you know. There's a part of me that's really objective. It's completely detached. Right. It sees Joe, the human, as almost like the machine that's driving the machine that's being driven to have the experience. Joe's not doing the driving. The master is behind. It's a bit like yoga, you know, when you've got the two bullocks, you know, and you've got initially, when you're unconscious, the bullocks both fighting. I want to go that way. Ida wants to go that way. Pingala wants to go that way. And they're always fighting with one another. And I think they're representative of the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, one has one idea, one has the other. They can never make any decisions, so they just knock shit out of each other until one of them gets the better, you know. And I think what happens is, as you sort of move along and evolve, you start to take a back seat and almost become the master or the witness. And then every now and then you can just flick the rein to say, you on the right there, get back in line, you know. And that's where I seem to be now most of the time. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it just represents a sort of evolution of what all humans must go through.
I think so. And everywhere you turn, there's a polarity. And the most interesting one to me right now is the human and the higher self, right?
Yeah.
So for too long, or for a long time, until we got to a certain point, theoretically, we gave the human too much. And I don't mean credit like in praise. I mean credit like that was the majority of us, if not all of us, right? Then you start having this relationship with this higher self, and you know that's occurred for all of us, probably all of our lives. But you know, it's all becoming more clear now. And then you tend to like, I don't want to say give too much credit to the higher self, but you maybe forget the human to a point. And so you look at this thing, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, who's observing and who's hearing the human, and who's observing and hearing the higher self? It's one and the same person. I am soul, right? And that's to me like a very clear point. And it came to me just a while ago, right before I dreamt about you and your pajamas. And what happened was I went to connect, and I went to pull up my higher self, and basically it was like one voice. It was like one synthesized voice. We are, I am you, whatever. We are one. It was just like, there was no separation. And then I went and had a little meditation. So I don't know. That's the precious thing I've got.
Well, but, this dream you had about me, did we have any sacred sex or anything?
Hell to the fuck no.
Did we try and merge into one? You know, right? Because I'm afraid to go to sleep now in case I have.
Wow, we had a big one last night. You know, Morgan was clearing. We knew it was a big night. She was clearing. We took our, typical. I didn't even get a good night kiss. She was like, "We got work to do," and but we knew it was going to be big. And then, so she was verbalizing things for a little bit. And, I was answering a couple of things I needed to answer. And then she started clearing stuff, which was actually occurring for both of us. And that happens sometimes. So as she's clearing stuff, I'm having these little soulgasms everywhere. Really a lot of electrical twitches and somewhat orgasmic, ecstatic type sensations. I might call soulgasms or chakragasms. But so, you never know what's going to happen. We are interdimensional, multidimensional, and more of our aspects are showing up. And, who knows? Who knows?
I've sort of got over the male, female, masculine, feminine thing now. It's like an all-in-oneness now, and, people talking about the rise of the masculine and the rise of the feminine and all that. That seems to have left me slightly, and I'm sort of watching that now, really, because to me, it's just a push me, pull you type thing, really. It's like that Dr. Dolittle character, really. And I think, again, Dr. Dolittle, he was the sort of the master who decided which direction it was going to take, So I see both of those aspects as just one thing now, really. And I think more and more people are starting to understand this, that sort of fight between male, female, masculine, feminine, matriarchy and patriarchy, that does seem to be dissolving, certainly in me. And I start to see it in other people as well now. And
any polarities, any and all polarities. We've been all doing this for quite a while. There's a lot of people stepping up. I think that's a fantastic sign. Seeing people coming out, and they're having to deal with the polarities of being authentic and agenda. Of being the old 3D affected characteristics of the wounded ego and being and popping in and out with the higher self side of us. But the thing is, regardless if there's a wave or an event, or any of that other stuff. It just makes good common sense that whatever the hell's going on and whatever's going to happen, to clear these polarities as they come up and accept that that is the middle road. That is the 0 point, because anything else is, you are the separation, like my higher self told me, you know, over the last couple of weeks. It's never, you are the separation, period. No one else is the separation. You are the separation. So we have the power to change all this stuff in the external, in the entire grid. One soul does.
I agree, mate. And I think more of us are beginning to see that. Let go, take a step forward, and let it just merge. You know, it's like a re-emergence where all these fractions and different parts of us are now being drawn in almost by attractive energy from the heart. It's almost like calling all these fractured bits back into us and reconnecting them at source. You know, I'm starting to see this. I mean, the other thing is, I don't think I put a thing out in the week, and I got it clearly as, Joe, just put this out. You know, you can't talk yourself into self-esteem. You've got to walk yourself into self-esteem. And that to me means, right, you get more and more worth by taking steps in the direction of overcoming your childhood fears. And this is coming up a lot in me now, that everybody is like a child on the planet Earth. And we're now having to go back to get over the playground fears that we had in order to grow and to evolve and to start to work together, rather than becoming king of the castle or the victim or the perpetrator. We've all got to like forgive ourselves at depth. And as soon as we start to forgive ourselves and understand why we've acted in the certain ways, then we start to be able to more readily accept and forgive other people, even people who have hurt us really badly. We can understand what their actions were all about. Madonna's just come into my mind. Love is understanding. She must have sang a song that says love in understanding. And I believe that's what it is now. Once you, knowledge is not it, it's wisdom and understanding. Once you see it clearly and you start to feel it, then you can start to act upon it. That's where I seem to be at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you know, and you got to give credit where credit is due, or however you want to put it. We can move away from the gender thing, but it's obvious that the feminine energy in this world took the first step. You know, it was like a yo-yo, you know, and so then pulled up the other one. And I think what you're seeing like right now, I know Morgan mentioned it a while ago, what was being cleared specifically was old subtle masculine wounds. You know, and we're talking about, you know, I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, where over the last month or so, you're actually seeing some masculine wounds in males and females, and the characteristics of that being very loud, not listening, controlling, maybe even demanding, projecting from that wound. And I think this is a higher level of awareness, and that's a good sign too, because you know, anytime there's a lot of uncomfortableness and a lot of that type of, you know, I don't know what I want to say, but because it's not a bad thing, but it's a good sign that if, you know, when I'm uncomfortable and I'm confused, I know a good thing's coming. I think we're seeing that in the field too right now.
Yeah. And I think something else I've sort of been given, you know, I just say thoughts that come to me. People call them downloads and stuff like that. But resonant remembrances, it's almost like when we get sort of triggered, it's not exactly the same event that's happened. It's a similar pattern too. So it's a similar pattern match. But our ego minds immediately link up to the event that gave it to us or happened, right? And think it's the same thing. So we go through the same fears at that time, but it's not the same. It's similar to remind you. That's why I'm calling it resonant remembrances or recognitions. You know, it's these things are coming to us in order that we stop, get an idea of the situation that's caused it, remember the action that we took then, and possibly take exactly the opposite action in order to cancel it out. So that's what seems to be happening in my life. That I see a person that reminds me, or I recognize them as somebody else, right? It's not the same person. It's only to bring the energy back of the whole situation so that you can regather, remember, and take a different action. And it's by taking that action that it's cancelled out, and then we go forward. And I had this clearly this morning. This is what karma is. You know, it's not Groundhog Day. It's just the same pattern until you keep hold of the pattern, stay with the feeling, take a step back, remember what the action was, take the opposite action, see if that cancels it out, and then move on to the next bit then.
Good
I've got
point.
no idea what all that was about, but, you know, this thing came resonance. So it's about resonance and recognition, you know, so it's an energy thing.
That explanation was very good. I've actually been listening to that for 4 years. I wasn't following it for a long time, but yeah, that's what happens is you that keeps looping. And, you know, she used to tell me all the time, you know, until you make another choice, until you make a different choice, when you make a different choice. And I've seen this happen recently over the last few months as we've been together and we've had some human interactions with friends or associates. And what would happen is this loop would come, because they don't always just stop coming. They'll come softer, then softer, then softer. And what I found over the last few months was when I communicated or didn't communicate, let me put it that way, that when the emphasis and the faith was placed on the fact that I had the recognition or whatever you call it, the resonance recognition. But when I had that and made a new choice, the energy shift in my field, as my beloved taught me and we experienced, as my energy field shifts, I don't have to say anything to the other person because the other person field recognizes it, and we, you know, magnetically, electrically dance to that, and either maybe you repel in the physical, or you know, there's another shift, and you both go to higher ground. I don't know how to explain it. All I'm saying is that when you shift your energy field, as I've been a laboratory rat, you know, over the last few months, but when you shift your energy field, everything takes care of itself.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why, like, even when you were at the top of the show, and you can expand on this, talking about how you feel, because I felt that way. I said for a long time, I will not leave until the last lost, straggling soul comes home. And then I got to a point where I realized, wait a minute, that's a program.
Yeah.
Because I can spend my time out here trying to help everybody, but the question is, where am I at? You know, and I think service is a part of it. There's no doubt at all. Service and service to self, service to the collective, same thing. But we come first. To thine own self be true, like your ad said today.
Yeah.
With the funny picture.
Yeah. To thine own selfie be true.
To thine own selfie. I'm sorry, I missed that.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. No, I agree, mate. And I think the way I live my life now, rightly or wrongly, is I'm just tuning in my left ear to my heart, to my soul. If my heart's open and flowing and I feel okay, I don't question anything at all. No. If it closes down, I go, hang on, what's that? Because I'm quite practiced in this now. I take a step back and I say to my heart or my soul, what are you trying to show me? Right. And sometimes I get a clear picture. Sometimes I get a little word or a powerful thought line of thinking. And then I get an idea of, do I need to take an action here? No, we're just alerting to you. Just be cautious now, you know. And what I did yesterday, Todd, mightn't necessarily work today because, as you say, programs are habits. They're the same things to me, you know. Mm-hmm. And habits, the only bad habit is habit itself, isn't it? That's been said before, you know. So it's really to have no habits at all, be free floating, and just do what emerges next. That's the way I seem to do it. Mm-hmm. Try not to work out what's coming. Obviously, and people say to me, what do you mean you don't plan? Have some sort of a loose plan, but always know that it might change completely within a fraction of a second, and accept that and go with it, you know. Because they used to say in interviews, you know, what's your 5-year plan? I haven't even got a 5-minute plan now, mate. You know, I've got no idea. I know what I'd like, you know, because there's a difference between dreaming, you know, and fantasizing. You know, I spent a lot of time in fantasy, but I am a dreamer, and I'm not the only one. John Lennon told me to say that, right? You know, because I feel that people who tune into this program are dreamers. They're Imagineers. And I think if they take their dreams and take action on trying to manifest them, I think that's the way forward, really. And the stuff that's coming to me now it's just like unbelievable, timelines and things like that. I've had those timeline jumps since I was a child. I don't know why this is coming up, but it's coming, so I'll just keep it going. There's two films that really, really, right, they astonished me in the feelings that I got. I was almost taken back. One was called Highlander. I don't know whether you've ever seen Highlander, right? Yeah. It's a bit like Outlander, right? And the music in that, the Queen music and all that. When I first saw that film, I was transported back to Scotland at that time, could smell everything. I could feel the whole business. I was actually there in that one, And the other one's called Somewhere in Time. It was with Jane
Seymour and Christopher Reeve.
Oh, do you know what, mate? That's the most profound film. I was crying. I was watching it by myself, right? In fact, I've got a big thing coming up my spine now talking about it, right? I was absolutely crying my eyes out at that one because it affected me so much, And when he saw their picture in the frame and stuff like that, and he got all those feelings, I felt all those feelings. And I've actually got that music, I bought the CD and stuff like that, and I play it, and it sort of brings back all those resonant frequencies from these different times, But Todd, I've had that before, you might call them the stories, but I link into the Magdalene energies as well, and get taken back often, back to ancient Egypt, and I'm not saying that I was one of the pharaohs or anything like that. I just think that's at certain times you link into a certain stream of consciousness, and I think everybody has that ability, and so they pick up. It's a bit like that film The Mummy, where the lad, he gets a golden bracelet. I don't know if you've ever seen The Mummy, but the son gets the golden bracelet and it clamps on his arm and he gets taken back to the ancient civilizations of Greece. Well, that's what happens to me in lots of ways, So sometimes I'll go to ancient Egypt and I'll stay there for a bit, really, really weird. And I've been taken back. I've done past life regressions or looping into these distortions or times. And I've actually sat in a pyramid, looked down at my legs, which were light brown in color. I've had these golden slippers on, right? There's been that black dog thing. I can't remember his name now. Like a jackal thing. That's the ancient...
Anubis.
Yeah, Anubis. Yeah, so Anubis was in there as well, playing around with a golden ball, And I'm
as long as they weren't like they weren't playing with your golden balls, was he?
No. Well, I don't know. We might have been, but I didn't feel quite nice.
I think you would have felt that. No.
See, I knew I'd get you back into this sort of talking. I knew I would. So I'm sitting there, and this is no shit, mate. Honestly. And over there is a child. Now, in my mind, I've got Joe's head on in this place. And there is Tutankhamun, right, as a little child, right? And there's also Isis in this thing. All these things, And I'm thinking, what? I think I'm on the way back to the psychiatric department here, Anyway, I come back. And then suddenly I'll miss out this modern time, this now time, and I'll be right into the future, And I think most of the time now, or the time dimensions I'm in, seem to be futuristic, where I'm drawing in information, bringing it back to now, and I'm trying to explain to the people that I'm working with that it's all about energy, it's all about resonance, it's all about vibration and frequency. This word I've mentioned before, chromatooptogenetics. I think that the ancient Egyptians had all these resonance chambers where they use light and sound to actually shake disease from people, and I think what spirit, I'll call it spirit because it's hard to put classifications on it, right? What spirit is trying to show me is that these ancient techniques, ancient futures, these ancient techniques are being brought forward now. And if we can use this quantum science now to bring it into some sort of modern day terminology, then people will accept it more readily. And I sort of think I've got to carry this in a way that's not too out of the box, if you like, I say, I didn't know I was going to go on about this, but this is the way it happens,
Well, that's what happens. You start talking about golden balls.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go.
No, but no, you're making a lot of sense, and I'm trying to I've got like 6 different things I picked up on. But the one thing is, I like what you said about going into the past, having a dimensional experience, future life, past life, parallel, whatever, and then coming back into this body basically with that information and trying to convey that by translating that into human words or whatever. I think that's significant. Who knows? We don't know shit. So how do we not know that every one of us is our higher self at the nth degree, and that's what we're doing? We're taking all that information we've had, trying to get it to this aspect of ourselves, so we can raise the new threshold or the next threshold, raise the stakes in the game, or however you want to put it. I think it's important, of course, all these memories that we have. I think we've had enough of them to understand that we're all the same, and that we're all able to tap into that field, like you said, and that information is there for a purpose. And the only purpose it could be is our conscious existence, and to expand on that, and maybe in an overly described human way, to create miracles and magic, and to do things that look impossible, because the first time someone starts doing it in this entirety, in the realm in its entirety, different than past times when there was one Jesus, one Magdalene, one Buddha, and that type of thing. More and more people are going to do it quicker. It's going to be like when the people started flying airplanes, or broke the 4-minute mile, or whatever the case is. This is what's going to happen. So I think our focus is becoming more and more on the present moment, and that's happening through the work we've done, but it's also happening by the universe's good pressure.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And music and dance and lightheartedness and letting yourself go and creating space physically, mentally, emotionally for the spiritual side of our nature to come through. That to me is the most important thing, because we've become so serious. We've become so fearful. The best way to sort of reduce terrorism is don't put the television on. Don't listen to the news. Don't read newspapers. Just get up, get washed, go out, right, and just let yourself go. That's my feeling now. I've got no idea. In passing, people are talking about all this Brexit stuff in the UK and all that. It bores the arse off me, mate. It's so boring. It's like just some sort of lunatic show that's going on. And I sort of occasionally see what's going on in America and stuff and think, same part, just different stages, same lunacy, And I keep seeing Nero fiddling while Rome's burning, and I feel that that's what seems to be happening on the planet. There's a great big destruction going on as part of it should be, right? There's a disintegration. We're going back to our elements. All the elements are being sort of fragmented so that they can be recollected in the next breath to take forward the new earth and stuff like this. I feel like a prophet here today. That's all very well and good, all that stuff I've just come out with, but can you just show me what I need to do next? Here, try that, see if it works. Thanks very much.
That's a crazy thing. You can look, and it's taken me a while to figure this out. I told Morgan the other day, because she's told me this for years, but this goes back to the same thing over and over. People can tell you whatever they want, but until you experience it, you don't understand it.
Yeah.
And that is all day long, every single day. There's polarities. There's opportunities for expansion. They can be little ones. They can be big ones. They don't always have to be the big dramatic old traumas. Even if you looked at the comment you just made about terrorists, if I look at that situation, I could find 20 polarities. Such as, who's the real terrorist? The government or the terrorists? Do they even exist? The truth and the lie of that. So you can go right down the list and 0 point every one of those things, the one that you feel more comfortable with and the one that you feel least comfortable with, pull them together and just keep on going. It's the perfect MO for this trip that we're on, to me. Because we're past the point of having to take on more information. We're going to take it on as we elevate and gain awareness and cast more light on our shadows. But we have enough information to know who we are, what we're part of, and to really start living this thing. And I think this 2020 is going to be a big, big year. At the beginning of, what do they call it? 1,000 years of peace and all these other prophetic terms they use for this period of time that occurs after the awakening.
Yeah. Satya Yuga, don't they call it? The golden age.
Yeah, the
And
golden
that's
age.
why some of us have got golden balls before the golden age comes.
Well,
Right.
I can't get bored because I don't have any golden ass to lose.
No.
Very little ass left after the lives I've lived. They sent me in here. I had no ass left. All the what do you call it? The karmic dogs chewed it off.
Yeah. Well, talking of karma, I think that the Kama Sutra, as we're talking about sacred sexuality,
We're
right?
talking about sacred sexuality.
Yeah, I think Kama Sutra, right? It was a method to show people not about sex, about Tantra, Kundalini. That's all part of it. It's just basically a method to tune into your own resonant frequencies,
Yeah.
to your own energies, to your
Yeah.
chakras, and feel one chakra at a time where the obstructions are. But not until you sit down quietly enough, turn your gaze and consciousness inwards, can you start to feel this. Right. And I think that's the whole thing is there's so many distractions now, right, that keep people looking outwards. And I think pain and struggle and turmoil and anxiety and panic disorder, they're all the tricks of spirit to get you to stop and to pay attention. I think pain, as they say, is the touchstone of recovery, because it's only when you're in pain do you stop long enough to maybe look in and think, what the effing hell's going on here? Now, you can do one or two things. You can go deeper within yourself and look for the solution within you, or you can go to your general practitioner or doctor to get something to dull down the sensation of the pain. And therefore, you give yourself a lot longer then to recover because you can't hear the message that your body's trying to communicate with you in a clear way. Christ, I'm definitely on one tonight. I should have taped this.
You are on fire, man. Well, let's stay with this though. You know what, in what you were saying, I think part of our liberation, part of this event is we all had a difficult time thinking that we were all divine, beginning with ourselves, and then we start to think, okay, and you got to take oneness beyond culture, country, creed, and all that stuff. So one of the things I've noticed in the work I do is the common ground when two people say, I don't know your pain because your pain was your pain, but I know that pain, and the fact that I might admit it or you might admit what happened to you, other people start to say, hey, it happened to me too, and all those secrets and lies start to get removed, and that creates, to me, that's the powerful part. That's the density. You can feel the density in those types of shifts as opposed to these high vibe and multidimensional ones that come in. But I want to go back to the Kama Sutra.
Yep, I thought you might.
So I was
set you up on that.
I was hoping that maybe you could just get back up there on that bed and show us a few Kama Sutra positions.
Funnily enough, I'm working on a video of that. Right. I've got a black mask on, so you can't tell who it is. Right. Because black completely naked, except for some like leotard leopard skin undergarments, and because I've got a mask on, they might know whether it's you or me.
Okay, next subject. Oh my God.
No, honestly, Todd, as you say and I say, we're only scratching the surface here. Honest to God, I always feel that we're just scratching the surface, and it's like a great big cosmic joke. And I'm not taking anything away from the horribleness that's going on this planet. The 3D human stuff is horrendous.
Yeah, but is it? It's still, and I know because look, we're either overly human or overly divine. What side do you want to fall on? We're
both, mate. In my view, we're both. We are the centaur.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So what I'm getting. Okay. So you can put it this way: you've got a animal over here. You've got an eternal, all-knowing being over here. In the middle, you got the human. And so the human is kind of like the referee. The human is Morgan says the human's the manager. All right. Yeah. So this is the importance in the journey of the human being. I mean, this is it's a program, and it's a damn good program. It's a good enough program that higher self capable all right, higher self connected aspects or entities could come into this game and actually believe it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So this is all understood now. Now we have this information. What do we do? What do we really do? Do we need to do anything? Do we need to get up on a platform and shout out things? Do we need to write books? Do we need to do this? Do we need to do that? Or do we just need to do us? I don't know.
But what if us is to get up on the platform and to shout out and to write books? You see, this is the thing is, I think that we all have one specific carrier wave, one standing wave that represents our soul's resonant frequency.
Yes.
And what happens is in the incarnation process, I'm just going to go with this and see what happens. We actually come from source. And through that, depending on the time of the year and the day and all that sort of thing, we will actually pass various planets and pick up some debris or some information from each planet in the whole universe, right? You know, and I think that will represent then what we get born with. All that sort of shield, if you like, represents the what we get born with and the lessons. I know they're not lessons, but I'm just going to speak like this, you know, and they are all the planetary influences that will determine the way we think, our mood state, our physicality, all those sorts of things. That's the lot that we're born with. If we were taught straight from the beginning to take personal responsibility for the choice that we made before we came here, if we taught children to listen in more readily to their feelings and to express them, I think that they'd have a much better chance then of using their own sensitivity, expressing it to people who understand, so that they can facilitate an environment where we can get through these experiences with less pain, less hassle. I don't know whether that makes sense. You know, I just think we've been duped, we've been deceived by intelligences that are far more intellectual than us, you know. And so I think the times,
well, in that place and time, they were.
Yeah.
In that place and time. We were talking about this last night. We had a show on 2 days ago on 9/11, and we had this really interesting, cool, beloved sister on, Sufi Olson. And we started talking. I said, you know, what does 9/11 mean to you? And I meant that, you know, what does the numbers 9/11 mean? And she went into the event of 9/11 that everybody knows about. Yeah. And I look at it this way. I look at that like, and then Morgan and I were talking about it last night because she was looking up some stuff on Lisa Renee's Ascension Glossary. In respect to that and a couple other things. Anyway, she was reading it and I said, well, sounds to me like what happened is that those powerless powers that be, those that had the authority because they had the knowledge, confirmed knowledge, and been practicing for centuries and centuries, that was their last ditch effort. This is a pattern they had used in an event, a staged event they had used many, many times just in the previous 100 years, to include when they burned down the parliament in Germany before to put Hitler into power, the Night of the Long Knives and all that stuff, and many, many other Gulf of Tonkin, many other staged things. But it didn't work. It didn't work. And even with the mainstream media's propaganda, even with the governmental stances, even with the protesters being taken out, even with bullshit investigations, the consciousness of this world did not accept it. And as the years have gone by, that's been a huge catalyst for this awakening. So, no matter what it seems, there's always a perfection to it. It's this linear timeline and this over identification with I am only human. I am a human being. I am a divine human being. Yeah. But I am not only human. And you know what I mean? So we're in sacred ground, hallowed ground. We're on the cusp of something huge. I believe in the event. I believe and what I mean by that is I believe it's happening. It's been happening and it's happening right here, you know.
No, I agree, mate. And I've followed energetic synthesis for years, you know, because I was sort of guided to that. And I've read through the glossary many, many times. Hieros Gammas is in there, the explanation of it all. I love Lisa Renee. She's as straight as a die, you know, and stuff like that. So I love all that. I sort of resonate with it at a very high level. And what else I learned from that was, let me just see where I was going with that. Yeah, there's a lot of Egyptian stuff that's involved. Oh yeah, I know. I studied the Kabbalah or the Kabbalah for a long time, the ancient Hebrew mystical tree of life, and I always felt that there was something missing. And on that, I learned that there was two of the spheres that were actually disconnected, and therefore the whole human being was always missing these two spheres of consciousness. And I believe that the 10 now have been put online, so the two have gone back in, and everybody's now starting to reconnect because the energy's flowing through all these different levels of consciousness. And as you say, this is all about mind, but we need the flesh to feel what's going on, And from the extraterrestrial side of things, I've had loads and loads and loads of stuff coming to me in the last 6 months about extraterrestrial stuff, Lyran influences, feline influences, and I've been seeing all these things. The weirdest thing was I had this vision of like tadpoles. It's dead weird, this, mate, and I hadn't taken any drugs or been on the drink or smoking anything, because this is what happens to me now.
What happened?
I've got these little tadpoles all around me, right? And they're like sperm, right? The sperms, right? And so these sperms, then it was magnified, right? And as it got closer and closer, it became the brain and the spinal cord of the human being, right?
Yeah.
And that, and then from there, then I could see all these tendrils. There's a word I haven't used for a long time. Tendrils coming out that represented basically the way that the nervous system connected all the parts. And then from there, then the flesh came onto this then, right? It was bloody marvelous. It's another one of my dreams,
That's awesome.
It's like, if it's not black dragons or gremlins or something trying to get me, it's these sperms, And I got then, so this is where we get sacred sexuality, the sperm and the egg. And what I get is the Big Bang in the beginning. It was almost like that picture of, is it Leonardo da Vinci's picture, I think, of the finger and the spark.
The hand of God, yeah.
Yeah, so either Michelangelo or Da Vinci or one of the. So Michelangelo, the hand of God. And I got all these things coming in and a sperm impregnating and activating and that was its job. It was to activate and inoculate the egg, which was the sacred womb, which contains all the secrets of the universe.
That's
right?
It.
And that was it. And that's the beauty of Mother God, right? And
that's it.
And then from there, everything's
prolific dream.
Yeah, and I have these, and I don't want to get up, because to get back into the 3D world, I'm finding it really, really bloody difficult to live in the 3D world and do my job in the 3D world because my head keeps flipping off into all these things, If I, what was the name of the lion from the White Lion? Lyran influence. I'm just trying. Aslam. I think it was called Aslam. Well, I think I've been being guided not by Aslam, but by Clarence, the one-eyed lion. You know what I
mean? Clarence, the one-eyed lion.
But it's almost like now another eye's come back into place, and I'm starting to see things much more clearly. And what I try and do is I try and condense this information, and then just try and pass it on one step at a time, or one understanding at a time. But once again, though, Todd, it's great having all this stuff. It's absolutely marvelous, right? But if you can't take the step that improves the quality of your life and helps you to go forward in a joyful way, what's the point in having a head like this? Knowledge is not worth anything at all until you take the step for it to become wisdom through personal lived experience. Right.
That's right. Knowledge plus action equals wisdom.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things that I'm finding myself in alignment with or resonant with is because there are a lot of people out there and there have been for a long time with a lot of different things to say. And I'm talking galactic wars, and I'm talking, Illuminati, whatever, fallen angels, 33 degrees of heaven and whatever. But one of the things that's really appealing to me right now is the narrative, whatever their version may be, that does not have any emphasis on dark and light, good and evil. It has no emphasis on that. It's spoken from a higher level that is accepting and explaining in a way that it doesn't take it into consideration. And I believe at the higher level, when you have an understanding at a higher level, which is of course going to be proportionate to where you're at, or relative to where you've been, you don't ever turn on CNN, for example, like in your example earlier. You don't look at these things. Morgan said something a year ago when we were all going through this stuff, and we rehash this every day. She said, if you look for it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
If you look for it, you'll find it. If you don't look for it, it will disappear from your field. And these things are curious. YouTube's algorithms and Facebook algorithms are set up a certain way for a reason. But we figured this shit out. We're fully aware. We certainly are aware enough to know. We have enough people to reach out to and say, I'm not crazy. I feel your pain. I've been there, but I've also feeling my divinity. I've been there. And to actually move forward, I saw this post last night, Jen Reynolds. She said, I'm so tired of hearing people talk about spirituality, even myself.
Yeah.
And then she said, give me the raw and real, period. Good night. Well,
I agree. Mate, honestly, it's about rough, because refined and professionalism, they're off my screen now. This is, I love Soulology because it's rough. It's amateurish, it's never on time.
Yeah, it's never on time. I'm in my underwear.
Exactly. Right. Hey, behave. Hey, I'm a little bit concerned about you. I think you're turning. But the whole point is,
did you see my bear hat the other day?
It's real, isn't it? And here's a nice word from you, from my beautiful mate Shanine, right? Rumbunctious, you see. So it's raw, authentic, it's real, it's rough, it's ready, it's rawsome, it's rumbunctious, right?
Rawsome.
And on the subject of Shanine, I'm going to see her on Monday.
Are you really?
Yeah. And I'm meeting up with her and Seafood Boggy, who's barking mad but lovely, you know what I mean? And we're just gonna meet up. We don't know what's going to come of it.
My God, you guys have got to film that, man.
Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll play it by ear, and we'll have a bash. And I don't know what's going to come of it. My ego's got ideas of its own, but they tend to dissolve away as we get closer to things. So it's just, I just have a feeling, And
now, where are y'all gonna meet at?
Well, it's a place called Brighton on the south coast of the UK, of England. It's a beautiful.
Brighton.
Yeah,
I have a friend. My friend that we're house sitting for is down that way right now.
Right. Well, I mean, and there's quite a lot of our sort of activity in Brighton, but there's another hub that's coming back online in Liverpool. There's a lot of stuff starting to happen again in Liverpool, which is just down the road from me. So that's all starting to emerge now and erupt, and it's all happening, mate. The event is happening because groups are getting together. Groups of like-hearted people are coming together. And it's almost like souls. The cytoplasm of cells is meeting, merging together, and we're creating a bigger and bigger thing, So I get all this stuff as well that's happening. But the thing is to sense it. Sorry, mate.
No, I was going to say, so you're going to get to meet Shanine.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
Paul Bogey.
Yeah, Paul Boggy from Brighton or Brighton, yeah.
So that's going to be, and that's what it's all about. Those are the important connections now. It's not even what you do or what you say. It's the fact that you come together, and the rest will take care of itself. Like I can promise you, because we've lived it. I mean, we've lived it for the last 2 years, and I've been doing it a little bit longer than that. But it's a powerful, powerful thing, and it's going to bring up all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to bring up all kinds of stuff and all in a good way, I think, in terms of, in respect to the fact that it's all going to create elevations. Yeah. And it's contagious too.
Yeah. And I didn't know with my work schedule and stuff, I didn't know how it was going to happen. And then suddenly one of my appointments dropped off, as it does. And I thought, whoa, there's a chance. Yeah. Book the train, get on it, go down, see what happens, because I tend not to. If my head coming in with, oh, it's going to be this and it's going to be that, I try and take that off, get away from me. Let's just meet each other, see what transpires, you know, and it's going to be good. I feel it with all my heart and soul that it's just going to be great. And I've been so looking forward to this meeting, you know.
Oh my God, you guys have got to video it. I want to say a couple things. A lot of people know Greg Prescott.
Oh yeah,
Greg Prescott in 5D. He had a heart attack. I believe he was in surgery today. I didn't get to watch the whole video, and so just keep him in mind and his loved ones. Yeah, and I also wanted to say, Dr. Joe, you got one of these.
Yeah.
This is from wisdomware.org, Amira Beth down in Kauai, Hawaii. She got some nice stuff. She just came out with some accessories, some sacred geometry accessories like backpacks and I guess like purses and stuff. I don't really know, but it's good stuff. Bamboo.
It's the best t-shirt I've had. It washes well. It's stretchy, you know, for when I put a few pounds on when I'm at, you know, and I'll be wearing that on Monday.
You will.
Yep.
I think you should turn your phone on when you meet them.
Okay.
I think that would be I've done it before. Some people got mad at me.
Yeah. I'm sure that's going to happen.
I don't think those two will get mad at you. I think actually all three of you will probably have the same idea and have your cameras on each other's pages when you meet. But no, it's a powerful thing when people witness that type of thing. You know, we're emitting code with so many of the things we do. When it's done in a situation like that with pure love and pure intention, it carries a lot of code, especially if there's a visual and an audio. You know. Yeah.
And the other thing is, the light language is coming through strong now.
Well, let's do some.
I don't know if it comes. I'll do some, but it's coming through in all sorts of various situations, and there's different tones and different frequencies and different sounds coming through now, both from a really, really low tone to a very high pitched tone now. And so I'm sort of being fed with different sort of frequencies now. I don't fully understand it, Todd, but I know it's called glossolalia. It's something that the ancients knew all about. And it's just a sense of just get your head out of the way, keep your heart and your throat open and your mouth, and just see what comes out. But no, you're not going to get any tonight because it's not coming, right? Because it's sort of, as you know, sometimes when it comes, it just like overpowers it out, you know.
Yeah, I know totally what you mean. I do some things, and I would never. Well, I guess I have, but no, I mean, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. I just want to say that I'm really happy that you're going to be having that Dr. Joe to Thine Own Selfie Be True Kama Sutra calendar in the leopard skin underwear, including 12 pictures and a special edition for Christmas with a Santa hat on. You'll have that before the next show when we get together soon. In fact, if you're willing to do that, I'll do 6 months and you can do 6.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll get Paul Bogey Brighton to do the centerfold in the middle.
Good idea. Can I do the warm months? Because, you know, things are a bit... No. Because the warm months will be more my masculine self, you know what I mean? Oh, listen, we shouldn't be laughing too much because serious business this, you know, this evolution is serious. But how can you evolve to something that you already are? That's the big question, isn't it? If you're already it, there's nowhere to go. There's no path. There's no journey. There's just isness, because isness is the business.
That's it, man. That's it, Dr. Joe. You take care. Peace out.
God bless, mate. See you next time.
All right, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye.